Hello Capricorn, and welcome to your in-depth monthly horoscope for July 2023. I'm going to give you some standout details to look out for, but please stay with me. I will explore in much greater detail all the ins and outs, particularly relevant to your sign. I have to say this is going to be a very important month for relationships. Also, Saturn, your ruling planet, in its retrograde now, is going to be going into a fierce opposition with Mars in week 3. So I do need to tell you about that. And also on the 3rd, we have a full moon in your sign. What does that mean for you? I will be exploring that in great depth. If you are a returning visitor, thank you so much for joining me once more. If you're new here, it's great to have you with us. I'd be honoured if you would subscribe. Please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. This is very much a community, so if you have any thoughts, please share them, and I try to interact with most comments. If you would like to ascend above this zodiac broadcast, what you can do by grappling with more serious astrology is provide so much knowledge and understanding of life's patterns that can guide you in your future moves. If you give me 3 pieces of your personal birth data of time, date and place of birth, I can produce for you your life roadmap report. This will give you intimate understandings of the opportunities you have, but also some of the more challenging patterns that may have repeated themselves. And so a better knowledge of these can help to guide you forwards more successfully. And in my 30% off package, you can also get your 12-month personal forecast, totally unique to you, both these charts, and will give you searing insights. Please see the link below for more. However, if you don't know your time of birth, my solar package based on the sun can still give you a considerable extra understanding that goes beyond this zodiac broadcast. So Capricorn, as you make your way into July, so the Sun and Mercury are in an exact conjunction on day 1. In traditional astrology, this is known as Cazimi. For as we view it from Earth, Mercury looks like it's right in the disk of the Sun, and this is said to amplify the benefits of Mercury. And one of the lovely things about Mercury in the 7th house is it can be good for detachment. So there are going to be moments this month when you may find it more difficult to see another person's viewpoint because their viewpoint could be so starkly opposite yours. So Mercury starting the month in such a positive location is kind of saying to you that even if people do see things or experience things different to you, just always remember they have the right to do that. However, both the Sun and Jupiter are in a beautiful sextile at the start of this month, which does embrace Mercury as well. And when Mercury and Jupiter are in a good alliance, this one's 60 degrees, a sextile, it's great for contracts. Now, it just so happens Jupiter is in the most bountiful part of your situation, and it's going to be there for the next year. So anything to do with manifesting your talents or sharing your skills and artistry is given a great boost at the start of this month, because I think you can find that people are pretty receptive. What's not to like, you may think? Well, let's explore that full moon. It occurs on the 3rd, but it's important to understand that the moon in your sign is pretty well detrimented. So it's the sign opposite the sign that's governed by the moon, which is Cancer. And that, of course, is where the Sun is. So it could be that you are going to experience a sense of disappointment over the next couple of weeks that someone that you're much more deeply invested in doesn't necessarily get where you're coming from, doesn't have the same commitment, isn't attracted to you as much if you're looking for a relationship, and that understandably can be disappointing. But I need to tell you about Venus and Mars, because they're both in the glorious Leo as this month starts, but for you, that's house 8, which is quite deep and transformational. But it could mean that if there is a relationship that's really exciting you at the moment, that combination could make it very hot and passionate. But you do need that flow of communication to be working well in order to enable that. And on the 10th, Mars does make its way out of the sign of Leo and into your sister Earth sign of Virgo. Now, if you are wanting to travel or you're wanting to book a vacation or holiday, this is a great time to do it. In fact, in the following 6 weeks, a much more independent side of your nature can manifest itself. But equally, if there is a relationship that isn't quite working as you want, Mars could give you the encouragement to break free and seek your freedom. So just be conscious of that. But on the 11th, Mercury replaces Mars in the sign of Leo. Mercury in Leo is quite an outspoken influence. It's quite self-assured, but for you it's house 8. Whatever people have been saying to you through the first third of this month, what Mercury's going to help you to discover through to the 28th is what they really mean. So in other words, it helps you to see the subtext in situations, to be more penetrative in your thinking, to see beneath the surface of what's really going on. But from the 12th to the 20th, if you are looking for some connections to other people, and it peaks on the 14th, there's a brilliant link between the Sun and Uranus. Uranus, like Jupiter, and at this stage in the month, the North Node, as it has been for the last year and a half, emphasising the more social, interactive part of your situation. But something could happen very suddenly. For example, you could attend an event and have a real lovely connection with someone, at a friendship level, or it could be more romantic. It just depends on your unique circumstances. But Uranus is quite an electric influence, but its dazzle can happen very quickly. But there could be something that moves very fast across those 8 days, which is very exciting. What's much more challenging, unfortunately, is that from the 15th right through to the 23rd, your ruler Saturn is opposed by Mars. Now, who's going to get the upper hand in this struggle? Because it could be a bit of a struggle. For example, if you do want to break free and do something that's much more freedom-loving, maybe the physical circumstances, Saturn, could make it a little bit difficult to do what you want to do, which could prove rather frustrating. Also, it's possible with Saturn in house 3 that maybe some technological issue or something to do with booking something could prove to be a bit of a fly in the proverbial ointment. So just be aware that when Saturn and Mars are opposite one another, it slows things down. Mars is about desire and Saturn is about restraint. So your desire, especially to be a free spirit, could be inhibited by your ruler across those days. Moreover, although on the 17th the true North Node inverses back into the sign of Aries, which it hasn't been in for 17 years, for a year and a half's occupation, this is going to flag up your emotional needs, anything to do with your immediate environment. But as it does, so the Sun in the sign of Cancer is opposite Pluto in your sign. Think of some of the struggles, perhaps the politics really, that may have happened 3 years ago when Saturn and Jupiter were in your sign, and they were in a series of interactive relationships with some planetary activity in the sign of Cancer to do with lunations. If you think back to 3 years ago, if you found yourself having to make some quite stark choices between what you wanted to achieve in terms of your own personal desires, and that had some impact on some close relationships, there could be something that comes up again this month. Then it could be as simple as in an existing relationship which you have no intention of actually ending. Maybe someone's attitude could just really be very tough to take. And it's possible, because Mars is in such a freedom-loving part of your situation, that you're going to really speak out and assert yourself. And I feel that because the sun moves on the 23rd into Leo, which of course it governs, but on the same day Venus, the planet of relation, goes into a retrograde, if it is an issue to do with finance that's causing some concern, or who contributes or does what, or just how invested or committed somebody is, that is really going to be shown quite strongly. Now, with the sun opposite Pluto, when people have that in their natal charts, they can be very trenchant in their opinions and very firm with them. But this can border on dogmatism. Are you going to encounter someone in week 3 of this month who has a might is right attitude? I think it's possible. But equally, someone could perceive you as being very forceful. So just be conscious of these potential politics. If your life is working in balance, the sun's linked to Neptune also in week 3, which is actually really sweet, could see you overcome any little ripples. And in fact, by the 28th, when Mercury joins up with Virgo in your 9th house, this may be the perfect time for you to enjoy some wonderful escapism. Now, that could be through taking in some cultural events, watching some bands, going to a concert, perhaps going to an arts festival, or actually going on a holiday. Your timing will be impeccable by the end of this month. So this month starts off with a lot of positivity, to be honest, Capricorn, but it's just being aware that in relationship situations, we can have what we want, we can have what we're prepared to give, but we also have the overlay of what the other person wants and what they're prepared to give. And I think in a nutshell, if there's an imbalance between those two principles this month, it's definitely going to show itself for you. But it isn't something that you can't overcome, but your listening skills and an ability to understand that other people do have a right to see things differently is what's really going to be tested. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Thank you so much for joining me. Please like, comment or subscribe.